I'm breathing underwater, I'm weightless through space. I'm soaring like an eagle all over this place. Creatures most will never see are waiting there to look at me, and all I gotta do is breathe underwater.
I could start today by saying the world is in peril, but let's be real, when is it not? Today's peril comes courtesy of the Soviet Union. No, it's not on purpose this time. They launched a rocket that was supposed to deliver a satellite into orbit. It's unclear what the satellite is for, but it has a small nuclear reactor to power itself. And the rocket it's riding on is out of control. The technicians can't change its trajectory, its speed, or anything else. They also can't deliver a destruct signal. Needless to say, with that much going wrong, it's not hard to discover that it was sabotaged. But if it comes down too hard, the reactor will go critical and explode, which will undoubtedly trigger a nuclear war. Funny thing, everybody's a little on edge about that.
There is now nothing to prevent the satellite from falling back to Earth with catastrophic results. Where?
This is the chairman. I wish to speak immediately to the President of the United States.
Sergeant Schultz moved to Russia after Stalag 13 was liberated and rose to the rank of party chairman in record time. It's always enjoyable seeing John Banner, and today's episode proves he could do drama just as efficiently as he could do comedy. As we probably already know, he was an Austrian Jew who fled to the United States when the Nazis annexed his country. In retaliation, the Nazis slaughtered his entire family. Ever since I learned that, I've watched him as Schultz with new eyes, and I love the giant middle finger he decided to give to the monsters who took so much from him. This is a man to admire. Incidentally, they were celebrating right before they got the call, and they said it's May 1973, in case we've been wondering when this all takes place.
Mr. President, it's the Kremlin. The hotline, sir. Yes, sir. I'll set it up at once.
Oh my, I did not recognize him in the haircut and suit. He had already been doing character parts like this one for 15 years and hadn't gotten much attention. 2 years later, though, he would become a household name as Lieutenant Commander Montgomery Scott, better known as Scotty the Wizard Engineer on Star Trek. James Doohan, please forgive me for not spotting you sooner. So where is this thing coming down?
Impact point is now estimated to be at about 200 miles off the California coast.
And the nuclear reactor?
It will reach critical mass shortly after impact. Unless it is deactivated in time, the detonation could destroy San Francisco and kill 1 million people.
Sorry I asked. The Seaview, meanwhile, has been ordered into a state of confusion, which is to say they're to rendezvous with a Russian trawler/spy ship and pick up a passenger.
Mr. Malinov, Admiral Nelson.
Welcome aboard.
Gregory Malinov, technician first class, Order of Lenin. Thank you, sir.
Michael Ansara probably needs very little introduction on this channel. For the new folks, first, welcome and thanks for joining us, but also, we've seen him in I don't know how many different shows that I've examined, so that gives you an excuse to watch them all and look for him. He was and is one of the best-known character actors of all time. There is something interesting about his role here, though. I'll talk about that later. That gives you an excuse to keep watching this video.
Is Comrade Gronsky aboard? He's being flown in from Moscow. We'll pick him up at our base in Santa Barbara.
Malinov said he's a technician. Gronsky is the brains. He worked on the satellite and knows how to disarm it. Doing so will require both of them. So let's get Gronsky on board.
Gentlemen, I'm now determined to follow the only plan which can forestall a major disaster, perhaps even a nuclear war.
He's a politician, all right. He has to pause for 30 seconds to make a speech. I have now decided, but I already did it, blah, blah. Yeah, we already saw that, da, da, da. Why use one word where three will do? Are you done yet? Look, dude, you're in Southern California. Don't leave the keys in the car.
Здравствуйте, товарищ Гронский.
Unfortunately, when he put the uncapped needle back in his pocket, he poked himself and the whole plan went kaput. You knew I had to do that one.
Mr. Gronsky, we're to take you to the helicopter. It's waiting.
Irwin assumed in 1964 that guys would all still be wearing hats in 1973, which makes me laugh at that scene that much more. And he should have said Spokojnie noci. Oh, that's Russian for good night. They pull into a hangar and swap him for a look-alike. The new Professor Gronsky hops a helicopter to the Seaview secret base. They put the real Gronsky in a big box on a truck. We won't find out what became of him.
Here, send this to Abu Dhabi. Tell him it's a new kind of artificial sweetener.
You know, that's a reasonable possibility. You never could tell with the Soviets.
Admiral Nelson, welcome aboard.
Thank you, Admiral. I wish it could be under happier circumstances.
So do I. We just received our final orders from Washington. We're to race north to the predicted splash area at once. Oh, you two know each other?
No, we have never met. An honor, Comrade Gronsky. I am Gregory Malinov.
Oh, yes. I've heard excellent reports of your work.
Thank you.
Everett Sloan wanted to be an actor pretty much from his first breath. For reasons nobody can understand, the big break just never happened for him. He spent years as part of Orson Welles' stable of character actors and even had a role in Citizen Kane, but Welles never really put him in the spotlight. He did some work on Broadway and had loads of television spots like this one, but by this time he was 54 and depressed because his eyesight was failing. A year after this, he took his own life. Let's watch this example of what he left us.
Change. The satellite is veered from its predicted course. We'll have to wait for further word.
1.4? That could be serious.
Has this been verified by any of our tracking stations?
The first report came directly from the Kremlin.
Which means splashdown will be less than 50 miles off the coast, not 200. They're going to have to get Scotty on that boat so he can give her everything she's got.
When we reach the satellite, it will be necessary for us to swim out to it, will it not?
Well, I don't know any other way for you to reach it, do you?
It will be a simple matter, comrade.
For an expert, perhaps.
You are not an expert.
I am a space expert, comrade. I know nothing about diving.
I don't know why anyone would expect him to. Space is the other direction.
Вы должны были дисквалифицировать себя. Я должен сделать Locklead об этом. We are not equipped to handle this mission. We must abandon the plan.
If he's not fluent in Russian, I'd be very surprised. He once said that part of the reason he never got the acclaim is because he was always doing a different character. He liked creating new ones and he was good at it. It's just too bad the public didn't recognize that talent for what it was. Despite the captain's best efforts, word is leaking out about the nuclear danger to San Francisco.
Skipper.
Yes, Clark.
Captain, I'd like permission to send a radio message.
I'm sorry, Clark. Radio secure to all personnel until further notice.
Captain, I gotta send word to my wife.
What word?
Sir, my wife and my kid are in San Francisco.
Many of the men are from the Bay Area and have family there, but Clark is having trouble handling this. After the two Russians compare some notes, there's even more good news.
The satellite will reach critical mass in 5 hours.
5 hours?
A few minutes more or less, but 5 hours.
Well, how long to disarm it?
2.5 hours. Comrade Malinov thinks it can be done in less, but I prefer to be on the safe side.
It seems to me getting it disarmed is the safe side, but we know what his goal is. And there's a good chance he'll succeed because the laws of physics are behind him.
Well, it takes at least 3 hours to get there, 2.5 hours to disarm it. That's 5.5 hours. It's set to go off in 5 hours.
You see, it cannot be done.
I need 30 minutes.
It'd be nice if they could stop the clock for a bit. Where's Joshua when you need him?
Mr. Melanov, you thought the satellite could be disarmed in less than 2.5 hours. Now, how much less?
5 minutes, maybe 10, but with these figures, I don't see how.
Reactor room station, cut in full emergency power on all banks.
What about our safety margins, sir?
Forget them.
This is as far as we've ever pushed it and then some.
We're going to push her a little harder.
Aye, sir. We'll give it everything we've got.
I told you they needed Scotty. The captain will relay everything they know to the crew, including what the satellite is and what's at stake.
You hear that? My wife and my kids are in San Francisco. He won't let me send a message. Dry up, Clark. Who said that?
I did. We all have to sweat this out. What makes you so special?
Valid question. Clark has the perfect answer.
Shut up, Kowalski.
I stand corrected.
You just haven't got the guts to take it.
Lieutenant Commander Morton comes in, and to say he's angry would be like saying she occasionally likes to sleep. Clark gets a well-deserved dressing down. Paul Carr is another character actor that helped make the episode. We last saw him in 2 episodes of The Time Tunnel. By pushing the Seaview to its limits, they arrive at the splash area just in time to see the satellite come down. Okay, Irwin, tell me you don't know what a satellite looks like without telling me you don't know what a satellite looks like. That is a drawing of a typical American manned space capsule. We'll see the same thing when we see the mock-up down on the bottom. It looks for all the world like a Project Mercury capsule with Russian letters painted on the side. The best part about that is, when this was made, Project Mercury was done. It wrapped up a year earlier and NASA was already on to Project Gemini, so not only is the capsule from the wrong country, it's already obsolete. Congratulations, Irwin, you did it again.
Sparks? You gotta send a message for me.
Beat it, Clark. I'm busy.
I gotta get it out. Now, if you don't do it, I'll send it myself. Come on, get out of there, Sparks. Wait, he jumped Sparks.
Rather than throw him in the brig, the captain has a few things to explain to Clark.
Do you have any idea what a message about this bomb would do to the whole Bay Area? Well, I'll tell you. One word leaked out could start a panic that would kill thousands of people.
Just my wife, Skipper. I just wanted to warn my wife.
What makes you think she wouldn't be killed in the panic, too?
They never think about that. And if she snuck out of the city and left everyone else she knew and loved to burn, how long do you think she'd be able to live with herself? If everybody on the boat does their job, it won't be necessary to find out. Melanov has been taking a crash course in diving. He's as ready as he's going to get. While that's going on, half the men are trying to hold themselves together, and the other half are watching Clark to make sure he holds himself together. Speaking as someone who's hopelessly in love with his family, I get Clark. But Crane is right. If he does inform his wife, her options are cause a riot in the streets or have a lifetime of survivor's guilt. Don't do her any favors, dude. It'll take a while, and they'll have to use a torch to cut through the satellite's outer casing. Once inside, they science the technology and technologize the science, and it's disarmed.
He is hurt. Is it the bends?
No, I'll be all right. Just give me a minute.
He was holding his abdomen outside the airlock. This was his first dive ever, and Nelson said they were at 400 feet. He has a right to get sick. Depending on what's in those tanks, it could be oxygen toxicity at that depth. Below certain depths, too much oxygen is worse than not enough. Then again, they were both kicking really hard to get back to the sub, so it could be as simple as a humongous cramp, especially if he didn't wait 30 minutes after eating before going in.
We've just heard from the Kremlin. Russian intelligence has just captured one of the ringleaders of the sabotage plot. They now have reason to believe that one of our Russian technicians is an imposter.
There's a quick way to flush out which one it is. He says get them both in here at once. Then he calls Sparks the radio man and gives him some very specific instructions.
Admiral, it's Washington, sir. Code 13, Sea Line. Unscrambled and ready, sir.
Thank you. Nelson speaking. Yes, Mr. President.
His specific instructions were, page me about such a call, then ignore me. Probably the only time in his life Sparks will ever hear that from an officer. If I'm in his place, I'm making the most of it. 2 days later, when the Admiral gives me an order, I can just tell him he never said when to stop ignoring him.
No, we're still in the area. Yes? Of course, there wouldn't be any trouble. Yes, I understand completely. You'll be picked up in Santa Barbara. Yes, sir, I'll report upon arrival.
A request from Moscow, stick around and remove the electronic brain from the satellite. They call it an electronic brain because the Soviets didn't want us to know they were building computers.
Salvage the brain. It's understandable, a most remarkable device.
There's no hurry. We owe ourselves a rest. We'll wait till morning. Shouldn't take more than an hour or so. We can get started about 0700.
But the brain has been permanently damaged. It's absolutely worthless.
I don't know. Nelson might have a tough time sussing this one out. But he's not the one asking questions. Malenkov is.
What is it, comrade? You are not feeling well?
Shut up. Shut up. And get away from me.
He says we have to leave this area right now. Inquiring minds want to know why.
The satellite was not disarmed. It will go off in a few minutes. We have to get away from here or we will all be blown to bits.
What are you saying? I saw you disarm it.
No. When you started back, I recapped the fuse and connected the wires. It will go off.
Malenkov can't go again without risking serious injury. It's up to the Admiral. He makes Gronsky or whoever he is show him exactly what to do. Then it's off to the brig for our dimwit saboteur. Did he really think 15 minutes or so was time to get clear of the blast area? If you're going to impersonate a scientist, my man, learn how to science a little.
I've
got a short here. Trouble.
Activated the circuit and shorted them. It could trigger the whole mechanism.
You do realize that's about to happen anyway, so a few seconds this way or that isn't all that big a deal. He locates the short, longs it again, or whatever he needs to do, and the world is safe for another day.
Lee, I'm coming back.
He's just not going to tell anybody. Are you doing that to them on purpose, you dirty, rotten hockey puck, you? He is. He's swimming back without saying another word. Captain Crane is watching the clock, and when kaboom time comes and goes without a kaboom, he figures it out. He makes a report to Washington and pipes it through the boat so all the men can hear.
Mr. President, the satellite has been disarmed.
Gentlemen, the missile has been disarmed.
Congratulations.
I was in California in 1973. I can tell you with almost absolute certainty that San Francisco did not blow up that year. It's not often we see Michael Ansara take a secondary guest starring role, but he did here. Gronsky was front and center while Malenkov was basically his gopher. The nice thing is he gave his usual top-notch performance. That's the mark of a truly great actor. They don't mind standing in someone else's shadow once in a while. Even if we still don't know whose shadow it really was or what happened to the real shadow. I mean, what was I saying?
I'm breathing underwater. I'm weightless through space. I'm soaring like an eagle all over this place. Creatures most will never see are waiting there to look at me. And all I gotta do is breathe underwater.
I could start out today. Okay. Funny thing, blow the last sentence, dummy. In retaliation, the naughties, they were naughty, all right. Saying she likes to get good grief. When we get close, he's as ready as he's going to get. We'll see the same thing when we when we get see. Yeah, that doesn't. No, that's bibbidi bobbidi.